15 states plus the territory of American Samoa are holding nominating contests today for both the Democratic and Republican parties. About a third of all delegates are at stake tonight in the presidential race. As of 5 o'clock, polls have now closed in Alabama, Maine, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, as well as some polls in Tennessee and Texas. And voting is also now over in Vermont, North Carolina, and Virginia.
Democrats in Iowa did not go to the polls today, but they did release the results of their presidential caucus. After disastrous issues with the caucus in previous years, the state turned to an all mail-in contest. The party also shoveled their primary calendar. Those results released just about an hour ago. The AP calling the race quickly for President Biden.
KTVU political reporter Greg Lee is monitoring all of the results coming in as the polls begin to close around the country.
All right, Greg, Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, more than a dozen states there. A lot of eyes on the Republican primary tonight.
Yeah, this is Nikki Haley's last chance to make a stand to slow Donald Trump's momentum. She's hoping to put up a fight in states with more moderate voters and where open primaries are held. North Carolina is not one of those. Polls in the Tar Heel state closed about half an hour ago in a battleground state that will be a major focus in the general election. There's a fierce battle on that ticket for the gubernatorial primary in the presidential primary. Former President Trump leading Haley at this point 71 to 26%. President Biden, the only Democrat on the ballot in that state, he easily wins the primary there as the race is called for him. Now, two states with open primaries closed at 4 o'clock our time. In Vermont, Haley was endorsed by the state's Republican Governor Phil Scott, and many believe this might be a state she can compete with Trump. You can see about 14% of the vote in. It is just a couple of percentage points separating the two. Former President Trump and President Biden both expected to have big nights tonight, but neither can clinch enough delegates to become their party's presumptive nominees. In Vermont, Biden notching a victory, the AP calling the race for him handily. Now, in Virginia, with 99 Democratic delegates at stake, that race also being called for Biden. Now, on the Republican side, Trump and Haley both made stops in Virginia last week. Trump the favorite here, and he notches a victory. The AP calling the race for him. Haley's campaign, though, holding out hope for other states like Utah, Maine, and Massachusetts.
That means that Nikki Haley is going to face a lot of pressure. Can she stay in? What does that look like? Because by the end of this month, Donald Trump will have sewn up the Republican nomination. You also see a number of votes out there for Joe Biden. What do the uncommitted ballots look like, particularly in a state like Washington or in Minnesota? He'll have the nomination sewn up here pretty quick.
One update, the AP just calling the race for Donald Trump in North Carolina. Now, of course, the delegate haul for both parties, the biggest one, is here in California. Polls close at 8 p.m. And a reminder, the counting process can be slow. More than 22 million mail-in ballots were sent out. They can be postmarked by today and received within 7 days. County elections officials have 30 days to verify results. The first set of results released tonight at 8, just after 8, will be early mail-in ballots. Then the subsequent releases will be in-person voting. So we very well could see shifts in the results and swings as we go. As we've been reporting, one of the closest watched races in the state, the battle for California's open U.S. Senate seat, a crowded field headlined by 4 frontrunners. That's the latest poll with Garvey leading. Democrats and House members Barbara Lee, Katie Porter, and Adam Schiff. Those candidates made their last-minute pushes this week, and it is going to be a close race as they gather their supporters tonight as those results roll in. Now, back to the top of the ticket. You heard Dave McEwen say those uncommitted votes for Democrats. In the Michigan primary, we saw 100,000 voters vote that way over his stance in Israel and Gaza. And while it's not expected to impact those primaries, it could be a warning call ahead of the November general election. So a lot of storylines that we're keeping tabs on as all these numbers start to roll in.
Okay, we're talking at the top of the ticket. What are the presidential campaigns watching for tonight?
So this is really an opportunity for them to shift. Trump and Biden, they will look ahead to the general election. And in addition to Biden keeping an eye on those uncommitted voters, both of them are looking at independent voters and young voters. Are they voting? What are the issues that they're concerned about? Keeping a lot of eye on those exit polls, seeing how border security and immigration are issues, as well as the economy. And as those are big issues that they will play, as well as abortion rights, which will be key.
Assuming it's going to be Biden and Trump, when can they actually clinch their party's nomination?
So the earliest probably for former President Trump, his campaign estimates is about March 12th. For Biden is March 19th. But again, that will just make them the presumptive nominees as we look forward to the official nominating contests at the conventions over the summer.
As for the race here in California, the Senate race, I find it interesting because I feel Steve Garvey aside, I find it tonight we're going to find out what California, what type of liberal they want in Washington, D.C.? Are we going to want a progressive, a centrist, and who will be the top Democrat at the end of the evening?
And that has been a lot of concern for Katie Porter and Barbara Lee, is that if they are kept out of the top two that we may see tonight, we may see those votes continue to roll in over the following weeks.
Yeah.
But if those two are locked out, that prevents a progressive from being in this race. In addition, if those two are locked out, that prevents a woman from being in this race. And just a fact here, California has had a woman senator since 1992.
Yeah,
so if it is Garvey and Schiff, as the polls predict, that would be an immense change for California in the upper chamber.
All right, well, a lot to talk about tonight, and we will keep watching. Greg, thank you. See you